The assault began the moment Dr. Lena Brooks touched down in Crescent Bay City, a coastal community known more for its glossy tourism ads than its tangled history with police misconduct. She had taken her daughter, Mia, to the Harbor Point shopping plaza. Nothing special, just a quick errand before dinner. But the moment she stepped out of her car, Officer Darren Holt, a cop with the long record of complaints, spotted her. And everything spiraled from there. Lena barely had time to adjust her purse strap before Holt stormed toward her. "Ma'am, step aside, now." "For what?" she asked, confused but calm. Her tone alone seemed to ignite him. With no explanation, no investigation, he lunged, grabbing her arm and twisting it behind her back. Her phone clattered across the pavement. Mia screamed, clinging to her mother's leg as Holt shoved Lena face down onto the asphalt, his entire weight pressing onto her spine. "I said stop resisting." She wasn't resisting. She hadn't moved. Onlookers froze. Then phones came out. Within seconds, Holt drew his taser. "No, my daughter is—" The trigger clicked. Lena's body convulsed violently against the ground. Mia's scream was so sharp that even Holt hesitated for half a second. But then he continued the assault, forcing the taser against Lena's back as she shook uncontrollably. By the time backup arrived, Lena's pulse was erratic, her body limp, her daughter hysterical. But Holt didn't care. He barked orders, cursed at bystanders, and tried to fabricate a story before paramedics even arrived. Unfortunately for him, someone had caught everything on camera. 17-year-old Noah Price, a local student, had live-streamed the entire incident. Within minutes, the footage hit social media. Within an hour, it had millions of views. And within 3 hours, it reached someone Holt never expected. Commander Ethan Ross, Lena's husband, and a decorated operative with the Navy's elite Marlin Response Unit, stationed just 20 minutes away. When Ethan saw the footage, something cold and deadly settled into his chest. By the time he reached Crescent Bay General Hospital, reporters were already swarming the entrance. Doctors rushed to stabilize Lena, who had suffered electrical shock, arrhythmia, and acute psychological trauma. Meanwhile, Mia clung to Ethan's chest, trembling each time a uniformed officer walked past. The family's world had shattered.
But the reckoning had only begun. FBI agent Karina Lopez, assigned to civil rights violations, was stunned by the footage. Holt's assault wasn't subtle, it was brutal, loud, and deliberate. And the deeper Lopez dug, the worse it got. Holt had 22 prior complaints, 0 disciplinary actions, and multiple reports had mysteriously disappeared from his file. His supervisor, Sergeant Evelyn Moore, had marked each complaint as unsubstantial without review. She had even overridden internal affairs recommendations more than once. Lopez turned to her partner. "We're not investigating just an officer," she said. "We're investigating a culture." This wasn't negligence. This was institutional protection. By morning, Harbor Point Plaza looked like a media battlefield. Reporters lined the sidewalk. Protesters held signs demanding justice. Local officials squirmed on camera, trying to distance themselves from Holt. Noah Price, who had merely recorded what he saw, was now hailed as a hero. Civil rights organizations praised him for having the courage to document abuse when others froze. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Ethan sat beside his wife unconscious. One hand held hers. The other stroked Mia's hair as she slept in his lap, exhausted from crying. Dr. Serena Park, Lena's physician, approached Ethan. "She keeps asking if Mia is safe," Dr. Park said. "Even while unconscious. The trauma is deep. This wasn't just physical injury, it was psychological devastation." Ethan's jaw tightened. This ends. As the FBI continued digging, the truth unfolded. 41 civil rights complaints tied to Holt's precinct. Multiple body cam malfunctions involving the same officers. Over $1.7 million paid in silent settlements. Minority residents disproportionately targeted. Detective Jared Miles from Internal Affairs confirmed what Lopez suspected. "There's a cover-up ring in the department," he said, and Holt was their protected weapon. Federal pressure increased. The city mayor struggled to contain the outrage. And for once, the system that always protected officers was cracking under its own weight. 2 months later, Officer Holt sat in a federal courtroom wearing an orange jumpsuit. Gone was the swagger, the barking of orders, the arrogance. In its place was a man who finally understood the gravity of what he had unleashed. Lena Brooks took the stand. Her voice shook at first, but then it strengthened. "When he tased me, I wasn't thinking about myself. I was thinking about my daughter, watching her mother being tortured by the person sworn to protect her." Sergeant Moore tried to shield herself, but evidence proved she ignored, hid, or altered complaint records. She crumbled under questioning. The jury deliberated for less than 90 minutes. Guilty on all counts. Holt was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Moore received 3 years for covering misconduct. Half the precinct was placed under investigation. The city of Crescent Bay paid the Brooks family a $14 million settlement and announced a top-down restructuring of the entire police department. 1 year later, the Harbor Point Community Justice Center opened, funded partly by the settlement, partly by national donations. Lena became its counseling director, helping survivors of police abuse heal. Noah Price received a National Journalism Scholarship. Commander Ross developed a federal protocol for supporting military families harmed by civilian police. The Crescent Bay Police Department, once known for brutality, was now a national case study in reform. And Mia? With therapy and time, the fear loosened its grip. She smiled again. She laughed again. And one day, at a community event honoring survivors, she tugged at her mother's hand and said, "Mommy, when I grow up, I want to help people like you."